I think the most dangerous belief that you can carry in your life is that life is happening against you. Because if you live your life like a victim, your brain will collect all of the evidence everywhere around you to look and to prove that true. And if you think about it, what benefit does that have in your life to think that you're a victim other than just keeping you small your entire life? And so today, I'm going to prove to you scientifically why acting as if everything is working in your favor is not blind optimism. I'm going to show you how it's one of the most powerful neurological advantages that you can develop in yourself as a human being. Now, before your skeptical brain stops in and says, this is bullshit, this motivational thing of everything's always working out for me, let me be clear, right? I'm not saying pretend that bad things don't happen. I'm not saying ignore reality. I'm not saying manifest a Lamborghini by staring at a vision board or like walk into traffic because the universe has your back. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the most powerful neurological filter that shapes your entire experience of reality. And that's what we're going to dive into. There's a friendly universe versus hostile universe mindset quote that's often attributed to Einstein. And it's this. It says, the most important decision that you will ever make is whether you believe that you live in a friendly or hostile universe. So do you right now think about this? Believe that you live in a friendly universe or a hostile universe. It's very binary. It's black or white. Which one is it? Because that's a decision that you need to make right now. So go for it right now. What do you believe? Because the psychology behind all of that is really, really profound. Because every human, no matter what, we develop an unconscious answer to that question. And I want to bring it to the surface right now. Because some people walk through life assuming that bad people are out there and people can't be trusted, and success is temporary, or happiness never lasts, or they're waiting for the other shoe to drop, or they only think that good things happen to other people, and that they're the belief that changes your entire life, not lucky. And then there's another group of people, much smaller segment of people, that walk through life assuming that things just tend to work out for them, that all of their challenges have some sort of opportunities in them. They believe that life is happening for them and not to them. And they believe that they can handle whatever comes. It's the same planet that these two people live on. Same economy, the same reality, but two completely different operating systems of how they view their reality, which then equates to a completely different life. And so, this is where the neuroscience really gets interesting in this. When you look at your brain, it does not see reality. You might think, oh yeah, I logically look at all situations. You don't. Your brain is designed to create a usable model of reality, and those are two very. How your brain filters reality, different things. See, your brain receives billions of bits of information per second, approximately 11 billion bits of information per second, but your conscious awareness can only process 40 to 50 bits of information per second. So that's 11 billion to around 50 bits per second. And your reticular activating system, which is basically your brain's filter, decides what gets through based off of what you have taught it is important. And it is based off of what you focus on. And so if you focus on life is dangerous, guess what you're going to notice? You're going to notice rejection and failure and threats and criticism and reasons why things won't work out. And we will be right back. Hey, real quick, let me interrupt this episode. I have a huge announcement. I have an in-person event 3 days this year in Austin, Texas happening. If you want to learn more about it, you can join the waitlist right now. And the people who join the waitlist will get the biggest discounts and the cheapest prices for this 3-day event. You can go to freedomwaitlist.com, or you can scan that QR code that's right there. And now back to the show. But if you why opportunities become visible trained your brain to believe that things always work out for you, guess what starts becoming visible? Opportunities, helpful people, solutions, unexpected openings and opportunities, new possibilities. You have to understand all of those opportunities were always there. But what happened is your filter changed from you being a victim to, hey, there's always possibility out there. And now you notice something that was always there. But now your brain isn't filtering it out anymore and snorts. So something that most people in self-development have never actually heard of before is modern neuroscience is increasingly viewing the brain as a prediction machine, not a reaction machine, a prediction machine. Your brain is a prediction machine. Brain isn't waiting for reality to happen. It's constantly generating predictions every single second about what reality is about to be. And then it searches for evidence to confirm those predictions. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm stupid. My business is going to fail. I'm not lovable. It'll find all the answers to that. And so you got to think about how insane that is. If your unconscious prediction is like, I'm going to fail, your brain begins scanning for all of the proof. And guess what? It will find it. It will 100% find whatever it is that you're looking for. If your prediction is this won't work out, your brain starts collecting all the evidence for that. If your prediction is people don't like me, every facial expression becomes suspicious to you. Every delayed text from somebody becomes rejection. Every disagreement becomes proof that people just don't like you. Your brain will always find what it is looking for, and it is always looking for what you tell it to look for. So you're not seeing reality, you're looking to prove your predictions true. So, what the heck are you trying to predict? Have you ever, the placebo effect and positive expectations, asked yourself that? Now, when you look at this, like there's something that a lot of people have heard of before. It's called the placebo effect, right? Placebo effect is incredibly powerful. I don't know why this isn't talked about more, especially as children. But the placebo effect is when a person has some sort of symptoms and their symptoms improve simply because they believe that they're receiving some sort of effective treatment, even if that treatment is just sugar pills, which means it does absolutely nothing. And research shows that placebo effect like that, actually somebody getting better from thinking that they're getting better, accounts for 20 to 40% of improvement in medical conditions in clinical trials. It is the highest among everything. There's no pill that does better than 20 to 40%. And sometimes it's even higher for pain and depression and brain-related symptoms, right? And so that means that your belief and your expectations can trigger measurable and biological changes in your brain and in your body, in your immune system, in your hormone production, in your pain pathways. The nocebo effect, creating your own suffering. So think you're healthy and really believe it, and you can become healthier. But few people really know about its civil twin. There's another thing that's called the nocebo effect. People are told that they'll experience side effects for a sugar pill. And guess what happens? They start to experience the side effects from a pill that contains absolutely nothing except for sugar. Why? Because the expectations of the human change the biology of the human. The brain predicted suffering, the body followed. Someone can get side effects from a sugar pill because they think they will get side effects. They don't know it's a sugar pill. They think it's something different, and they're going, oh, you might have explosive diarrhea. And this person gets explosive diarrhea because they think that they will. You might get a tummy ache, so they get a tummy ache because they think that they will. Isn't that crazy? Like, why are we not taught this as children? That what we believe in, we will usually create. Now think about this. What if millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, are living under a psychological nocebo? People can make themselves sick because they think that they're sick. But does that also mean that if we walk through life expecting disappointment or rejection or betrayal or failure, that we might unknowingly be creating that in our lives? For sure. Two entrepreneurs, two different outcomes. Let me give an example. Imagine there's two people that start a business, right? And both encounter problems because that's what businesses are, right? Both of them lose money, both have experienced setbacks, and person A believes C, nothing ever works out, for which many people do believe. I remember believing that when I was younger, first starting my business. And person B believes this is part of the process. It's the exact same event, but it's different beliefs. And so person A closes off, and I bet you if they start to close off, I bet you that business will eventually fail pretty soon. Person B, because they have a different perspective, even though the same circumstances, learns from it and gets better. And listen, I have coached a lot of entrepreneurs over the past decade, and I can confidently say that one of the main reasons why 95% of businesses fail within the first 5 years is the mind of the business owner. It's not the learned helplessness is keeping you stuck economy. It's not the president. It's not inflation. It's not whatever is going on. It is the mind of the business owner, because they are looking for and finding whatever is going on in their brain. And like, this is where the psychology really starts to get crazy. In psychology, there's a concept that's called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is this. Animals that were exposed to unavoidable stress eventually stopped trying to escape. They just thought, oh well, this is the way that it is. It's always going to be this way. And they eventually tried to stop escaping, even when escaping was possible. Now, believe me, yeah, this is terrible to do to animals. I do agree with that. But it does show you something in psychology with animals, but also humans, right? The opportunity to escape exists, but the brain no longer believes that it does. So it doesn't even try. It just stays. This exact common concept right here, ISIS, super common for humans as well. If you think about this, just really think about learned helplessness. An animal is exposed to stress. It eventually gets to the point where it's just like, hey, this is how life is. And it stops trying to escape, even though there's possibilities to escape. Think about how many humans are living like that as well. Learned helplessness isn't just in animals. It is proven in humans as well. How many people have stopped trying because life didn't go according to plan a few times when they were younger? How many people have opportunities sitting directly in front of them but can't see them because they've been neurologically conditioned to expect that they're going to fail? And so you have to think to yourself, do you have some sort of learned helplessness in your life? Yeah, you probably do. We all do in some sort of way. But if learned helplessness is true, does that mean that the opposite can also be true? What if how to train yourself for resilience possibility can be learned? What if resilience can be learned? What if expecting things to work out changes the way that you actually engage with reality? Think about how that could change the course of your life. You stop living in this noibo and you start living in this placebo. So you stop thinking that things are going to go bad and things stop going bad, and you start thinking things are going to go good and things actually start going good. Now realize when I say acting is act as if everything is always working out. I don't mean that life is going to get easier for you. I don't mean that things are going to disappear. This is where people misunderstand the entire concept. It acting as if everything works out doesn't mean that bad things don't happen. It doesn't mean that some people won't leave your life, and it doesn't mean that you'll never turn failure into growth and opportunity fail. It doesn't mean that you'll never get your heart broken. It means believing that whatever happens can be eventually used for your benefit. You can learn from every single situation to grow and get better in the future. That's massively different, because then failure snorts. Every single failure becomes information. It becomes a lesson. And pain and loss become education. They become information that you can use in the future. And that shift alone changes the questions that your brain begins to search for answers for. Like I've said it many times in the podcast, the brain is like cosmic Google. Whatever you ask of it, it will find answers to. It will search through everything in your past and find answers to questions that you repeatedly ask. If you say, how am I not good enough? How is this going to screw up? How am I a loser? How am I going to fail? Why don't people love me? It'll find all of the answers to that. But on the other side, if you say, how can I prove that everything that's ever happened to me has eventually worked out? It will find the answers to that as well. It's kind of like if you do the forest fire lesson on personal growth. Imagine a forest fire, right? From the perspective of most people, a forest fire is terrible. It is a catastrophe. It's so sad to go through that. Oh my gosh, that tree was 1,000 years old and it burned down. That's a human's perspective. But from the perspective of the entire forest ecosystem, over the next 500 years, many forests require fire. Like certain seeds, only open after intense heat. When all of the dead growth gets cleared from the fire, new growth becomes possible. When all of the big trees that were taking all the shade end up burning down, it leaves a moment for life to reorganize itself and for new growth to be able to come up. And so when you look at the forest fire example and you think, well, how can I organize this into my life and use it? Obviously, if you're in pain, don't become delusional and just pretend that you're happy. Feel your pain, grieve it, process it, cry if you need to, get angry if you need to. You're human. That's like the forest fire, clearing everything out. But eventually in that process, just ask yourself, hey, if this is always working out for me, what benefit can I find in this situation? How can I look at this from a different perspective? What if this is always working out for me? For me, I'll just be fully transparent with you. I have a deep-seated belief from 40-some years of my life in seeing how the shittiest things that have happened to me 10 or 15 or 20 years down the road turned out to be the biggest blessings or the biggest learning moments or these things that had to happen to me for me, why everything is working out for you to learn and grow.
I have come to this deep-seated belief, like all 40 trillion of my cells believe, that life is always working out for me. No matter how hard it gets, no matter what happens, and that scares the past out of me, because I know that some really painful things can happen in my life coming into the future, I still will have the perspective, and want to have this perspective, that it's always working out for me.
I remember a few years ago when our dog Toby died. He was 30 and a half. A couple days later, we had Togo to the exact same vet, and we had Bear, who was one of our, he's only about 6 months old at the time, had to be neutered or fixed or whatever they call it, right? And he had to go through the whole conversation with us. He knew Toby had just died, and he's sitting us with Bear, and he says, "Hey, listen, I know you've had a really hard week, but I just have to tell you, when we put a dog under, there are obviously some risks, and Bear is a smaller dog, so there's more risk." And I was like, yeah, I know. And then I left, and I went home, and I didn't hear back from him for like 6 hours. And I remember the feeling deep inside of me, like, oh my God, like, I hope Bear's okay. I hope something doesn't happen. I can't deal with this. But then I was also talking to myself, and I was like, hey, if something ever does happen to Bear, if this is what has to happen, I know, and I trust that God and the universe has something I'm supposed to learn from it. But I just really don't want to learn a whole lesson this week. I just said that to myself. I was like, God, if something has to happen, I know that it's working out of my benefit. I know that there's something I'm supposed to learn, but I do not want to learn another lesson this week, because losing Toby was hard enough, and I don't want to have to lose Bear as well. And so that is my overall perspective of life. That is a real true way that I tried to look at life. And luckily nothing happened to Bear, and he's, perfectly healthy, beautiful little teeny tiny dog. But had something happened, I would have still looked at it that way. It would have been hard. I would have grieved. I would have cried. I would have been destroyed from losing my dog. But I would have been able to look at it and go, trust yourself to grow through anything. I'm supposed to learn from this. Because I know deeply inside of me that everything that's happening is happening for me and not to me. And so when you look at it, the real deep question we should ask also is, can I trust myself to grow through whatever happens? And the answer is yes. You can trust yourself to grow through whatever happens. You've been through some crazy in your life, haven't you? And you've gotten through all of it. No matter, stop bracing for impact and start living what? When you start to look at that, something really important happens. You stop living so defensively, you stop bracing for impact. So many people are there so tight in their own lives and in their bodies, just bracing for impact, always expecting something to go wrong. You stop treating life like an enemy, and you stop treating like every challenge as evidence that something is about to go wrong. And you start to see life in a completely different way. You see it as a series of experiences, some of them beautiful, some of them painful, all of them usable. And it brings me back. I want to leave you with a quote that I think is perfect for this. There's a guy named Naval, and he says, life is really simple. You're born, you have a set of experiences, and then the meaning you give life shapes your reality die. But the meaning that you give your experiences dictate the quality of your life. That is something that we're all in control of. So I hope that you look at all of the experience of your life as something that is always working out for you. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Based off what you've been watching recently, YouTube thinks out of all of my videos and all the stuff you've been watching that this video is the one that you need the most right now, based off of what you've been watching. So hit that one. And if you want to make sure to never miss another video, hit that subscribe button, join us, and I'll see you on the next